All right, now the next two guns that we're going to talk about are guns that you not necessarily can buy online as is. These are both M4 design DMRs that we've taken and actually customized to some extent by adding longer barrels, silencers, suppressors, tight bore barrels, all that kind of stuff. Both of these guns are using about a 600 to 650 millimeter tight bore barrel. The first one we've got here is the G&G R8L, fairly inexpensive polymer frame gun. And the other one, this is just sort of a bastardized gun that if you guys have been watching my channel for any length of time, this gun has appeared in probably half a dozen videos at least. So this gun's been around for probably 4 or 5 years in various setups. Right now we've got it with a telescopic ACOG and a fixed rear stock rather than the adjustable telescoping stock. Both of these have the suppressors on them, and they both got pretty much the same result as far as the accuracy.
Yeah, so when we were looking at FPS, we'll talk about that first. With .2s, we were looking at, with this M4 DMR, about 333 was the average. With the R8L, however,
not quite that.
This morning we re-chronoed it, and we were having some issues with it, and it was only clocking in at around 200 to 230. It's a little odd. It's possible something got winged in there, but
that it may just be that's what that gearbox is doing.
Right.
You have to understand this is a stock G&G gearbox, no modifications whatsoever, being shot through a tight bore, a 650 millimeter tight bore barrel. So there's a lot of resistance in there to slow the BB down.
And then when we decided to go to the accuracy test, which we did the other day, we were using .3s, just like we were with the bolt actions. And with our M4 DMR, which has a slightly shorter barrel, we were getting a 12-inch grouping. And then with the R8L,
well, the G&G calls it the R8. I've heard it also referred to as the R8L because the G&G guns that have the longer, the 16-inch barrel, they generally refer to them as the long version. There are like in the Raiders, the Raider and then the Raider L, which is a longer barrel. Either way, this is the G&G R8, whether or not you put the L after that.
Yeah, we've done so much to it, it's hardly, that I don't know what we want to classify it as. But
this gun there's not a lot going on that we did. The only thing that we did on this gun that was a major upgrade was the
tight bore and then the barrel.
And the barrel extension.
So it's like a R8 XL at this point.
So it's a fairly inexpensive,
right?
You're looking at probably around a $200 gun, and then maybe with an extra $50 or $60 in upgrades, which is not a huge expense. With this one, 12-inch grouping, same circumstances with the other one. With the G&G, we were looking at an 11-inch grouping. So, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was the same group, but the G&G did just kind of come out on top just by that little bit. And that was just luck of the draw. There's really nothing about this gun that's that much better. You're looking at a difference of a 1-inch group, which is not a major difference. This one, however, shooting at a higher velocity would probably be a better choice for longer range shooting.
Right.
At 200 to 250 feet per second, you're not gonna, beyond 100 feet, you're probably not gonna be able to reach out quite as far. You could set your hop up pretty good and get the BB to float out there, but you're really not gonna be getting much in the way of serious long range out of that particular gun.
Right, but I mean, with that considered, you could start with that gun, you could do exactly what we did, and then just add, a better spring, beef up the internals, and pretty much good to go.
So the reason why we're doing the two at the same time is because the results are so similar and the guns are so similar.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, they are the same
M4s.
Yeah, just an M4 base.
All of my guns that we use here as rental guns, which these are, by the way, available here for use as rentals, and they are field legal. So if you want to play the DMR role, we've got the equipment here. The reason I put them in the video is just to give you an idea of what you can do if you want to customize a gun. I'm not sure that I would, for somebody that's brand new to the sport, that I would recommend something like this because it's going to be somewhat cost prohibitive.
Right.
In some cases. In this case, you're looking at a $200-something gun. you're going to spend about another 50 bucks on a scope, another 20 bucks on a riser,
barrel,
another 50 bucks on a tight bore barrel, and then depending on the length of the suppressor, another 50 bucks there. So there are more cost-effective ways to go about getting a DMR if you buy it out of the box the way you want it.
The way you can also look at it is if you know eventually you do want to get into the DMR role, but you want to start with a good gun. I mean, the G&G that we have here, I mean, it's a very, very good gun. We sell a lot of them. So you can start with that, and then with the eventual goal of, first you buy a scope, and then, a month later you buy the tight bore, and you just kind of upgrade as you go along. So if you're kind of doing that and you want a good starter gun, and then you want to kind of build off of that and eventually have something that's really like your DMR, then, I mean, the G&G is a really good option to build off.
And also the reverse is true, that you can downgrade them. So if you decide that you no longer want to use it as a DMR and you just want to use it as a carbine, you can take your suppressor off, put your original barrel back in, and then you're back into just a regular carbine. So you have a multi-purpose gun without having multiple guns.
If your wallet has plenty of money in it, you could even just buy a whole separate upper receiver and the barrel and everything. The one caveat to that, though, is just by switching the upper and the barrel and everything, although you're going to get the different length, you're not doing anything to the gearbox. So if you are shooting hot, or you're shooting a DMR FPS and you want to take it to CQB, you're going to have to downgrade
There are things like that system, the new system, which we're going to be doing a video on coming up, that there is a little reducer that you can put on the end of the flash hider, or remove the flash hider, goes in place of it, that will reduce your velocity. So there are things that you can do to get the velocity down.
Quick change spring systems are out there.
Which these don't have.
Unfortunately.
You would have to disassemble the gearbox on these. So unfortunately, if you want to adjust your velocity, you would have to take the gun apart or use one of those. Reducers. It's made by Tokyo Marui. It's a reducer that goes on the end of it. And we will be doing a video on that upcoming, because that's really a nice little feature that anybody can use.
Or just spend a lot of money and get a Polar Star.
Or you can do that.
And then you can just mess with the FPS all you want.
The surprising thing to me with these guns being AEGs gave comparable accuracy to the spring guns.
These were very consistent, and if you look at it in a practical scenario, in a game, real game, you're going to need to take follow-up shots. Maybe they didn't feel it, that would be worst case scenario, but maybe you missed, or something happened. You can adjust for whatever inconsistency you had in your first shot. It went a little left, you can just tilt the rifle a little bit, and you're immediately on the target again. If the target's moving, you can just keep taking follow-up shots, and it's just a little bit better. And worst case scenario, if someone gets a little closer to you, you're not at a disadvantage where they might have an AEG. So yeah, I mean, electric is definitely an option.
So this is something to consider if you're looking at going into the sniper role and you already have an M4, that you can just spend a few more dollars and do the modifications and get very similar results.